they played with a playoff intensity, and I think I have to just chalk it up to human nature. They're not a great team, but B, it's just hard to play with desperation until you absolutely have to. That's why I wrote almost all of my best term papers in college when I did them the night before. Not that I would advocate that for any young viewers out there. Definitely don't do that. But I did get a lot of A's when I would, and I would get a lot of worse grades when I would actually take my time on it. So their backs are against the wall. They're playing like it, but as you said, this is still going to be a tall mountain for them to climb. I do think the net effect of this game is much better chance now for them, and had they lost it in regulation, you could have, I think, finally put a bow on the season.
Yeah, that's why it was significant to win it in regulation. And again, that holds true. They have games coming up against Detroit and the Islanders to end the season on Long Island, although I think of their 6 remaining games, 4 are at home, starting with Tampa on Saturday, and then they got to go to Toronto in the Kyle Dubas Bowl on Monday. That will be interesting. But again, you have these head-to-head ones. Those are must-wins. Detroit's still right there, and so are the Islanders. So we'll see how that goes, but certainly a good one. As far as the Pirates are concerned, they're coming home 6-1. The opener tomorrow. It won't be the best of conditions. You may have to swim up to PNC Park, so make sure you do that if that's how you get in. But they were good today, and Martin Perez has been really good. He's one of those guys I think you can rely on. He went deep into the game, 6 2/3. And then the bullpen did the rest.
Yeah, Perez, I thought, really did a good job, Bob, mixing speeds, hitting corners. I mean, that was kind of an exhibition of pitching when you don't have elite end velocity. It's always a little easier for a lefty, but he mixed speeds, he mixed eye levels, he was hitting corners. 90, as I think they said on the broadcast today, John Wayner said this, and he's correct. When you're hitting your spots, when you're doing things, when you're pitching, right, you're not throwing, 92 can be plenty, and he proved that. And I think if he had actually been a little less aggressive in the zone late, he probably would have gone deeper into the ball game. I think which is, hey, listen, you go 6 2/3 because you were just throwing the ball over the middle too much. I'm not going to complain about that, but it was he's a guy that I'll watch closely here, Bob, because they need to get Keller back on track. They need to hope Jones continues what he showed in his first start. But, man, if you get consistent 5-6 solid innings out of Perez every time through, that's going to be a big boon to them staying afloat until Paul Skeens gets here.
Yeah, he was very efficient, too. He only was in the 80s in pitch count into the 7th inning, so that's doing some pretty good work. And then we saw the two-headed monster of their bullpen, which is Aroldis Chapman, strike out 1, and then Bednar got 2 out of 3, and they end up winning the game 7-4. They're 6-1 coming home. We're going to take a break. Want to hear from you. It's 412-575-2600. We are live on KDKA Plus on 93.7 The Fan. All right, welcome back. In our GMC Sierra tweet of the night from Sportsnet Stats, Sidney Crosby seems to be single-handedly trying to will the Penguins into the playoffs. You can see what he's done here recently, and the Penguins have been on a roll ever since they blew a lead in Colorado, which was one of those games, when you're talking about 1 or 2 points, and boy, the lesson last year, I thought, Chris, was you had to win a game against Chicago at home. You put pressure on yourselves by having to go that far to clinch a playoff spot, and you end up losing a game that was, clearly one of those where Chicago didn't care to win. They were trying for Bedard, and the Penguins end up losing it. But you look at that Colorado game, they had a 2-goal lead in the 3rd period. You saw the Calgary game, a 2-goal lead in the 3rd period, and there were others like that. That, coupled with their power play being as anemic as it was large portions of the season, cost them points along the way, and those points do add up.
Yeah, that's why I said there's a lot of frustration watching them play this well in what amounted to a do-or-die game, because if they had just done things this well earlier in the season, or even partially this well, and had a power play that was clicking at even 20th in the league instead of 30th, they wouldn't be in this position or even close to it. They'd be pretty safely in my opinion. So if this falls short, this little late season surge, it's going to be all the more frustrating that they had chances to do good work and keep themselves from this predicament and weren't able to do it.
All right, so right now, I think I told you today on the radio that I had my sights more on 3rd place in the division. Philadelphia is trying to secure that, although they've had problems of late. They still are 2 points in front of the Penguins, but the Islanders are a team surging. They're now in that same predicament. And, there's some big games coming up all the way through this. So it's a question of what do you think it's, dealing with the Flyers or the Islanders, or what do you think is more likely for them to get, 3rd in the division or the 2nd wild card? Because the 1st wild card is too far out of reach.
Probably the second wild card still, and that would match them up with the Rangers, and you never know. Like, if Nedeljkovic continues to play well, maybe they could give the Rangers some fits. But if you're really asking me there, Bob, who do I trust of the teams that are chasing these spots to actually handle their business, I definitely trust the Islanders more than I trust the Flyers. Tortorella seems to be pleading with his guys to figure out, hey, we're young, but we've got a chance at this. The Islanders do have a been there, done that vibe about them, and it would not surprise me at all to see them buckle down and play some really good hockey the rest of the way. So I think that's the team that kind of sticks out on my radar here. These are not, your father's Lidstrom and Datsuk and Zetterberg Red Wings. They haven't really been there, done that either. So it's the Islanders that I've got my sights on here that I'm concerned about if I'm a Penguins fan.
All right, let's go to the phone lines, Chris. Got a lot of people want to talk some hockey tonight, beginning with Kirk in Manor. Hello, Kirk. What's up?
Yeah, Kirk. I'm sorry, Bob and Chris. How you doing?
All right, Kirk.
I just wanted to say I disagree with Tony earlier on the show when he was saying that Sullivan has to go. I think there's one particular coach in Pittsburgh that should go, and that's Mike Tomlin. Let me know your thoughts.
Well, he's going to get an extension here in July 25, so it's a kind of a moot point. Mike Sullivan isn't going anywhere, and I don't ever, given the fact he signed through 2027, I don't think that's going to happen. There are a lot of reasons why this, you can look at special teams coach, you can look at a lot of different things. They will make, if they don't make the playoffs, Chris, they will make changes, but I don't think Mike Sullivan will be among the change.
So if you're going to make the argument that Kirk just did that Mike Tomlin needs to go, what really is your argument for keeping Mike Sullivan around, especially if they don't make the playoffs? Oh, it was somebody else's fault. It was 3 different GMs built this roster. Well, I don't think Kevin Colbert did a great job down the stretch of his tenure, and we're learning now with the way they've reshaped the roster that maybe Mike Tomlin just kind of followed chain of command and didn't, butt in and want to stomp his feet and get his way with player personnel all the time. So I'm sorry, if you're going to say that Mike Tomlin needs to go, then you need to be willing to say the same thing for Mike Sullivan, because for huge chunks of this season and chunks of last season, it's become very evident that a guy without any recent playoff success wasn't being listened to or tuned into by his team. And that's like the kiss of death in hockey.
It's very similar, though, how this is going. It almost reminds me of how the Steelers got into the playoffs, because we were debating, Chris Hoke and I, after the Indianapolis loss for the Steelers, that, man, they didn't have very good odds, and you thought everything has to fall into place, and it kind of did, and Mason Rudolph got in there and things changed. Well, the same thing's kind of happening here. Whether or not it comes to fruition and they get in, we'll see, but it's very similar in setup. So, and in hockey, man, anything can happen. We've seen too many. Normally in football, you're not going to see so many big-time upsets with teams that just get in against teams that are elite. But in hockey, we've seen it over and over again. So just getting there, you never know. If you're playing the right style, Chris, you can end up going for a long way.
Hot goalie, health, and decent style, and the Penguins appear to have most of those right now with the way some of these young guys are playing for some of the injured older guys. Yeah, you can win. Boston went down in flames last year. We saw the Lightning very famously, before they finally broke through, go down in an all-time stunner to the Blue Jackets. Yeah. In 4 games where they were killing them in the first game, and then it all fell apart all at once. Hockey is a very random sport once you get into the playoffs for all the factors that I mentioned. So if the Penguins get in, listen, you have to give them a puncher's chance. If Nedeljkovic continues to play this well, you absolutely cannot discount them. I think the Rangers are a better matchup than the Bruins if they end up as the second wild card, but you certainly can't write them off. I'll tell you what, by the way, Bob, have we ever seen a guy who wore a Myles Garrett jersey, is Nedeljkovic giving us some of the best clutch performances a Cleveland athlete has ever delivered? I mean, this is unbelievable. Usually this would be the time when he's getting his golf plans ready. He's getting ready for the offseason, being from Parma, Ohio. This guy might be saving the bacon here. Yeah,
he's really playing well, and I was glad to see Sullivan stuck with him. This is not to say he's going to play every single one of these next 6 games, but he might if he's that hot and Sullivan
If his legs don't fall off, he should. Every game of consequence they have left, they've got to try to keep him out there. I mean that. Every single game that has consequence.
Unless he has a bad game early, like I thought Lindgren had tonight for Washington. There were some long-range shots. He needs to make those. The bunting goal, I'm sorry, good shot, but you got to make that save. You can't let it go in. By the way, the Penguins do have Tampa Saturday. Then a week from Saturday, it's Boston at home. They have Nashville. They have at Toronto. And then, of course, Detroit and the Islanders. So it's there for them, but it's also, there are some obstacles. We'll see how it goes. Let's go to Jeff in Greensburg. Hey, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for taking my call. I agree with you. I think the Flyers is much more feasible. But the other thing is, too, these other teams have to play each other, too. You know, Washington and stuff like this. I referred it to my buddies as Hell Week with the Rangers, Devils, and then Washington. We somehow got through. So I think you look at the schedules that the other teams are playing, and it's just like, you know, now you're schedule watching, you're point watching, and everything like that. So
I'll tell you this, Jeff and Chris, that win against New Jersey, the way it happened, against the team it happened, that, if they do get in, you got to circle that one and say, that's it. That was the game, because they very easily could have lost that game the way it was going. They have no history in there and coming back from 2-goal deficits in the third period the way they did. And they actually did to someone else what someone else has done to them all year. Come back and make up a big margin there in the third period with 5 goals. That'll be the moment.
I mean, Bob Grove, for my money, is the ultimate Penguins historian in town, and he called it one of the unlikeliest or most improbable comeback wins in franchise history, and he's right. They had one regular season win ever in New Jersey when trailing the Devils after 2 periods. One. And I wasn't even born yet when it happened in 1983. They had one other one in the playoffs in 93. I mean, they're dead ducks when they go to the third period down there. To not only win, but to explode for 5 goals was really a you say stunning and it gets overused in sports media these days. That was a stunning final 20 minutes of hockey there.
It was. Chuck in Uniontown. Hello, Chuck. Welcome to the program once again.
Good evening, fellows, and thanks. Do you think Alex Nedeljkovic will be slotted as the #1 goalie permanently? Would you like to see a NBA? Would you prefer NBA or WNBA? And the third thing, I think for the Pirates to sustain, I think Keller has to come back to pitching like he did.
Yeah, I mean, that's a key for the Pirates. As far as WNBA, I'm going to take the NBA just because I like that talent there. Nothing against the women who are making tremendous strides.
Caitlin Clark was on a WNBA team, and that team got like an expansion team in Pittsburgh, and their first pick was Caitlin Clark. I'd buy season tickets. She's worth the price of admission. It's a show. But yes, he's asking 2 NBA fans. I'd love the NBA in Pittsburgh. It would be great. Nedeljkovic should be their starting goalie next year, but you'd have to trade Tristan Jarry. Who wants him? And yes, Mitch Keller needs to get it right and in a hurry, and the velocity is an issue. The performance is an issue, and this is a continuation of a very bad post-All-Star break half of baseball for him last season.
Right. The only thing I'll say about goalies, they're very weird in terms of what happens. Nedeljkovic has been with 3 teams, and when you first saw him in Carolina, he looked like he was going to be their franchise goalie, and then it fell apart a little bit. He ends up in Detroit, and then he had a terrible year in Detroit, and then he ends up here. So, and goalies are, who knows what you're going to get with some of these guys, and that's my biggest fear with all of this. That, and the good thing for them, Chris, is they have Joel Blomqvist down there, and they think that he could be one of those guys. He's 21. He had a great year. He could be a franchise type of goaltender as well. So it gives them a little bit of cushion if they want to make a deal for somebody.
Bob, very quickly, though, like if goaltenders are a crapshoot outside of maybe the handful of 3 or 4 great ones, then why give Tristan Jarry the extension that they gave him? That's what has me scratching my head. He has done nothing to prove that he belongs in that rarefied air.
I think it was Kyle Dubas listening to Mike Sullivan, and Mike Sullivan always has stood in Tristan Jarry's corner. That may not be right, but that's what I think.
I think you're right. I think that's how it happened, and I think Mike Sullivan was very, very wrong.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, there's a part of me I want to see playoff games. I want to see him in goal for someone and see how he responds, because I remember Fleury back in the day. There were times when people wanted to get rid of Marc-Andre Fleury. People now don't even entertain that thought, but it existed. There were people, I called this show all the time. You remember those days? And then all of a sudden he gets, hot a little bit in certain series. The Washington one in particular, I forget the year now, but
yeah, but the big difference is he had won a cup. Like in 2013 when Vaucoon took the job, he was already a cup winner. When he came and rallied the troops in 2017, he was a 2-time cup winner. So That's vastly different than Jari, who's done nothing of that nature.
I understand, but he's been a two-time All-Star and he's had really good stretches. So I want to see it in a high-leverage situation one more time. We'll take a break, come back with more right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan.